I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Rambling Man Podcast episode number 112. 112, I can't remember how I start these things. This one is with Suzi and Rhonda Whalen of Twilight Paranormal. And we talk about paranormal investigation. If you'd like to find out more about them, you can find them on Facebook at Twilight Paranormal or on TikTok at Twilight Paranormal TN. I appreciate them for being on. I think they still think they're going to get me out, but don't realize what a ginormous pansy I am. But I do appreciate them being on and all their great stories and how they scared the crap out of me. But yeah, visit their Facebook page and TikTok and make sure you give them both a follow. And I appreciate them for being on. Sponsor this week is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultation company based here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So they do work for clients big and small all over the country, all over the globe, in fact. But they also do photography, videography, video editing, and audio editing, website design, SEO, writing, content development. Hell, they'll babysit your kids if it nets them money. So make sure you give them a follow on social media on either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Feral Giant. And be sure to give them an email today and hire them for your next project. Without much further ado, here's the episode. He is a packaging engineer that does packaging for like wine bottles or whatever, but he's wanting to get away from like peanuts or how when you get an Amazon package, it has the big air bubbles with an item this big in a box this big. So, and it's like reuse, and he's really pushing for, now that they're building all these Amazon warehouses, like why do you not have recycling at the Amazon warehouse where they can reuse that or break it down and reuse it? So that's who I'm interviewing tomorrow. I think he's in Oregon.
Does he make his, is he a creator?
He works for a company.
Okay, he doesn't design.
So he didn't invent this? Or
No, but he
I'm going to turn my watch.
Stays on top of the trends, and he tries different things. Like he found this flex packaging that he helped engineers, almost like designing the specs of how this is built. And but he's been doing drop tests for wine to see how high up he can get. I think he's made up to 50 feet. Wow. Yeah. So, but it's interesting. A friend of mine said, "You're a nerd. You'll like this. Here's his TikTok." And I did.
That is awesome.
So he started a podcast on sustainable packaging. I was like, "Do you want to be on mine?" While I don't have a huge following on social, I got an alert the other day. I am in the top 10% of all podcasts.
Cool.
And I have 50,000 downloads, something like that.
Well, good.
See, I think what you do is really awesome. It's like that little niche. You don't really find that. And it's like a day in the life of people and what they do. And
yeah, it's
pick up interest.
I can be doing better. Like there are times where we talk so much about other things. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. We need to talk about this. But I had a woman on who's from Denver that she is a professional cosplay designer, clothing designer, and she does cosplay, plus she builds corsets. She actually has to wear corsets 23 hours of the day because she has some kind of back disorder that makes it to where she has to wear a corset. And so she does, like, dispels a lot of myths about the issue, like it arranging your organs and all this. It's very interesting.
It doesn't?
No.
Because I know they showed on one of the doctor shows, a lady makes it real tight, and she's got a tiny little waist, and she's big everywhere else. They said it was harmful. And now
it's you just work up to it. They said a lot of the I think she said a lot of the problem was if you try to go too small too quick, it will cause issues.
Yeah.
But she said, with her back being messed up, she has to do it and has had to do it since she was like 17.
See, I love that. I lasted 2 hours in a corset. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I'm doing
Kudos to her
spandex
for
right
making
now.
it
I'm
that
spandex, and I don't like that.
You're in spandex.
I'm big clothes.
Yeah, but you do. When you have hip surgery, you got surgical hose on, and you wear bicycle shorts with spandex, and it's like, oh my God, you're.
Yeah,
So
all you talked about was your Spanx.
It's a Spanx, yeah.
My dad has been wearing compression stockings that go up above or right below his knee for 15 years or so. He's a truck driver, and he was making a delivery, and this big, huge pallet, 3,000 pounds or something, rolled and slammed his leg up against a concrete pillar, and it totally screwed up one of his legs. And then because he was leaning the other way, it started causing issues in the other leg to where now he has to wear it on both legs, and it's nuts.
You smile there. I can't explain it. You're just, it's very uncomfortable. And then you wear your mask on top of that.
Yeah.
And you're uncomfortable.
I'm going to just get a burqa. I'm all in at this point.
Okay. That's good.
Just for a burqa. I'm going to cover myself in a plastic bag.
You be in for both of us,
okay? The boy in the bubble. Yeah, I'm going to John Travolta it. Okay. Where are you both from? Because I do not denote accents that are from here. So where are you all originally from?
I'm from Seattle, but I was born here in Tennessee.
Really?
And came back. I was 3 when we went to Seattle. They did the World's Fair.
Yeah.
Out in Seattle. We were there in 63, 64 for that. And 74, we moved back here to Tennessee.
Wow. Okay.
See, I'm born and raised Louisiana, Southern Louisiana.
Okay.
And I've lost a lot of that accent, so it's kind of a mix between
Southern and whatever.
Florida, Maryland, Tennessee, all the places I've lived. I don't know what this is.
I hate to keep mentioning TikTok, but somebody was ripping into a woman from Louisiana speaking her natural way.
I saw that.
And they were like, well, somebody's doing this. And she was like, no. Apparently, you've never been to Louisiana.
No, that is how they talk. I still have all my family in Louisiana, and it's a wonder you can understand what they're even saying.
And that's where we want to go investigate. They're in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And nobody's done it yet, but that would be cool. Yeah.
It's amazing. Anything I've ever read or heard. I've never been to New Orleans.
Oh, you have got to go.
New Orleans and Texas are ones that it's too odd, and it's just a little bit too far or whatever.
Just go for the food alone.
I know.
Like you need maybe like a whole week or two. Just eat all day long. The food is just amazing.
Bourbon
One thing
Street
I miss.
Smelled when we were there. They had a party or something the night before, and there were people in the daylight still at the bar, and they must have partied hardy because the whole street stunk.
So I assume Bourbon Street is like Beale Street in Memphis or downtown Nashville, where that's where the tourist goes.
Yes.
And stay away from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the hype. I just don't buy into the hype. I mean, it's fun to go to. It's good during the day, and then at night it just turns into this one crazy party.
We weren't there for the parties. We came. Oh. We did the casinos at night because there was a place somewhere down through there somewhere that we stayed at the casino and gambled at night, and then we toured and did Bourbon Street and other places.
I when it comes to traveling, I will either disappear into the woods or I will dump into a city and just stay in the city for 10 days, like San Francisco or New York or Chicago, and nothing but public transport, nothing.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
And just like not even think. And the first time I went to New York, I had a little Post-it note with all the things I wanted to do, and it had 65 items, and I did like 58 of the 60. Good. I did a lot in like 10 days. I was like, nope, I'm going to get all these done.
No sleep. Just keep on hitting your little bucket list.
And then this last time, I can't believe I forgot about this, and this kind of goes to our topic. I had not put the Ghostbusters Firehouse on that list. And I just happened to be walking, and there it was. And I, like, in the middle of the road, like an inner 7-year-old started going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And started taking pictures. And I was like, oh my God, it's right there. Oh my God. And I hadn't even thought about it. Like, it was.
It's cool. It's exciting.
Yeah. I mean,
I've
it's
not
a
been,
staple.
so I don't know.
New York's awesome.
visit.
It's, so I wear shorts 365. Like, I'm not immune to the cold, but it takes a lot. And almost every time I've gone December and walked around like this. And there was one time I was in a rougher part of town. I passed by a group of homeless dudes at like 9 a.m. or something. And as I passed, I heard one of them say, he's crazy.
They called you crazy.
And I turned around and looked at him. I was like, don't forget that when I'm walking back through here at 3 a.m. And he just stared at me, and I just took off. Like, it was the funniest thing of just like...
Who's the crazy guy? I mean, you're talking crazy. Who's the crazy guy that gets his picture made cowboy hat and underwear?
The naked cowboy.
Yeah,
Is he still around? Is he still a
Yes,
thing?
yes.
I think I saw him the first time I went. Like, yeah,
that would be crazy.
Yeah.
See,
yeah,
I feel like I would need a picture with him because I thought he retired.
Maybe he did.
I have no idea. I haven't kept up.
I know when my sister-in-law went, he was there. When my husband went, he was there, but my husband didn't see him. He was there for business. And he went to some of the museums and stuff like that. But, yeah, it was exciting.
Man, I want to visit.
I'm looking at it. Is the naked cowboy.
I know Freddie's got pictures of him. He was there a few years ago.
Okay, he posted 21 hours ago.
Good.
So
I'm glad he's still alive.
February 13th. There he is, naked.
Ooh.
He's,
Yeah.
Not dressed up for Valentine's Day?
No, I
Oh,
guess
God.
not. I was like, I'm looking at that in private browsing. I don't need that in my search history. That I looked up the naked cowboy. New York is awesome, but it's almost like you have to eschew the normal stuff. Although I will say the first time I went to FAO Schwartz at Christmas time, and that was just unbelievable. Because that's where they film Big, and I walk in there, and there's like a Chewbacca made out of Lego that's bigger than me, and I was like, oh God, this is all like unbelievable. Like, it was crazy. Okay, how long have you been here from Louisiana?
Oh, let's see. I moved here when I was probably about 16. Okay. Went to high school here, met my husband, and we moved to Maryland, down to Florida, back to Tennessee. So we just made one big circle.
Okay, Maryland. Another one is when I was up there, I went through Baltimore, and Edgar Allan Poe's headstone is just in the middle of the city, in like a cemetery that's like the size of this room. And I tried to go see it, but it's in such a weird place. I was like, I don't think you can park anywhere near it. Like, you would almost have to walk. And I was so pissed because I kind of wanted to go see that.
Was he by himself, or were there others buried with him?
I can't remember. It's very small. I remember that. That I don't mind having in my search history.
I mean, that would be really cool to go visit. I didn't even think about that when I lived there. We made it a year in Maryland.
When we
before
went
we were ready
to
to go.
Indiana, you're going to have to go on this trip, and you said you were going to. We went to James Dean's Cemetery, and he was buried away from his family, but that was cool. That's the only famous graveyard I've been to.
It's like in the middle of the city.
So he's by himself.
Yeah.
Are you going to steal dirt from him, too? She stole dirt from James Dean.
Oh, the big one in Seattle is Bruce Lee. Isn't Bruce Lee buried in Seattle?
He had to have been buried after I came back here.
Okay.
I
think it's Bruce Lee, maybe Jimi Hendrix. I think there are two big ones in Seattle that I always think about. I wouldn't mind seeing the Bruce Lee.
Yeah, well, Jimi Hendrix. Give me Jimi Hendrix any day. I'll go set up a tent there.
Were you all into like horror fiction or horror films when you were growing up?
I was into Stephen King growing up.
Okay.
I absolutely love Stephen King. I loved horror. Grew up on stuff like Chucky, because I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 87, so I got all the good horror movies. What was it? Puppet Master, Chucky, Pinhead, Pet Cemetery. Traumatized me so good. I loved it all.
Oh my God.
Well, no, ours was that was after my time.
Yeah,
we did.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Exorcist, and then the one that scared me more than anything when we came back here. We lived here at a Triumph, cloth top, doors don't lock because the roof snaps on, so it's easy to unsnap and break in.
Yeah.
We went and saw Grizzly at the drive-in.
Oh, yeah.
And it was nice. The weather was nice. We had the top down. Now, that scared me worse than any movie out there. That one just, you got to watch it.
So before I say this, have you ever seen that documentary?
Room 237? No,
Yes.
I have not.
It is deep diving on The Shining and goes into all these conspiracy theories behind The Shining. And so you're sitting there showing me these videos. I am a ginormous pansy. Like I am scared I am terrified of everything.
Oh God.
Like I'm the biggest wuss. I was just talking with my friends. I was like, I don't watch horror. Like I can list all the horror that I like on like one hand. And it's what's funny is it's like extremes. Like I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the greatest films of all time.
I love
the original.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I saw the original. We saw that. That was awesome.
The Shining. There's a film called The Descent that came out in the 2000s. Have you ever seen it?
I don't think I've seen that one.
5 young women who go spelunking.
Yes.
And they're creatures.
I know what you're talking about.
I can't handle the gore. I don't like gore.
I'm
a pansy.
Gore. I'm a pansy.
There's a film that y'all might like called Frailty. It's Bill Paxton, and he directed it too. It's him and Matthew McConaughey. But it's told in 2 different times, and Bill Paxton gets touched by God, and he becomes the hand of God killer, to where he has like a pair of gloves and an axe, and he kills evil. Like it's awesome, but it is not like gory or scary.
Right.
It's just very like
a psychological type thriller. Okay.
But the scariest film I've ever seen, and now I'm going to blank on what it was called. Y'all may know it because it fits into this realm. It's the one, Session 9. Have you ever seen Session 9?
No, it came on, but for whatever reason, I didn't
That's
watch it. It was on
creepiest.
TV.
It is during the daytime.
Session 9. All right, I'm writing
It's during
this
the
down.
daytime, and it is these guys rehabbing a old mental hospital. And it's during the day, and it is the creepiest. One of the guys finds these audio cassettes of the doctor interviewing people in there, and it plays in the background. It is, oh God, it's uncomfortable. It's
I'm
so uncomfortable.
looking at it right now, and just the pictures I'm looking at.
So uncomfortable. It makes me so uncomfortable.
I gotta see this. I love mental hospitals, though. Yeah. We've been into a few of them.
Yeah, Randolph is one that you guys need to go.
Randolph.
That
sounds familiar.
It's in Indiana.
Okay.
And it's 53,000 square feet.
Good Lord.
And when you look at the building, you don't realize it's that big. And when you're looking, it's gorgeous outside. Go up the main door and walk in. The woodwork is gorgeous. And you've got this big family room. There's a room over here. You got your kitchen, your bathroom. But when you see the 2 doors and you open up the doors, you're in a different world. It's concrete.
Oh, God.
It's brick. It's concrete. It's painted. And then you got rooms all the way down both sides of them. And then there was one part that had jail bars on it. And that was when they had a prisoner in there and they had them in lockdown. But you go from gorgeous to all of a sudden just brick.
Yeah.
And then you start hearing all these noises and it's dark and you can't see your hands. It was awesome. It was exciting.
Now, is this the place that Stacy got rushed?
Yes. And you're going to have to come with us when we go back.
You got to tell him the story of how she got rushed.
We did just 3 girls. We're 3 badass girls. We weren't afraid of nothing. We go. We do Randolph last, and we should have done it first. And you get to stay the night. So you're sleeping in this place, and it was
in here. Nope.
Yes. It's a dream come true.
So while we're there, we go up the fancy staircase around gorgeous thick wood.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous. We go up the staircase, and then you open the door. And when you open the door, that's when you get into a whole totally different world. The atmosphere, everything changes. It was so exciting. And Stacy and Suzi both have the ability to pick up on things.
Mm-hmm.
And Stacy's, because she's 6 foot, she's in front. Chris is in the middle, and I'm in the back, because that's where you hear people walking up behind you, and it's exciting. And you're taking pictures over your shoulder, trying to catch somebody.
Uh-huh.
We had been up there for, a couple hours and came back to take a break. So you open up the doors, and there you got the whole fancy part of the house, and we're getting ready to go down the staircase. It sounded like a ton of kids barefoot smacking hardwood floors coming up the staircase. I don't know how Chris done, or Suzi done, or Stacy done it, but Stacy put Chris in front, and I'm already against the door, and she got behind me where it just traumatized her so much.
Wow.
But you could hear like kids coming up the steps barefoot and taking their hands, and she was rushed. So she sacrificed Chris and put Chris in front, and they were ready to go. And I thought, oh God, no, we just got here.
Yeah.
We can't go home. But that's the first time I've ever seen Stacy that startled, that she was ready to leave. And we wound up staying. But when we did sleep, we slept in the living room with the lights on, and we all slept in a recliner. We couldn't, or a chair, a hardback chair. We sat there. And we had all of our equipment for Stacy and Chris in the front door. So if anything happened, we could throw it out real quick and close the door and leave.
Oh my God.
But we stayed, and the next day we went back through to debunk some of the stuff we heard. And I'm not going to tell you, because you said you're coming with us this year. So I'm not going to tell her what we debunked, because we're going to go that night again, and we're going to stay the night. It's so exciting. It was thrilling. It was just something. And to be that big for 3 of us, we couldn't invest the whole thing. We investigated what we could, but when they got scared, we didn't wander far from the double doors back into the house.
Yeah. So that's the coolest feeling in the world, is to be rushed by a spirit. Like, you actually feel the wind blow into your hair, and it feels like static electricity, and it just feels like wind just blows through you. Kind of like when you rub a balloon and then you can shock stuff.
Yeah.
And you can actually, like, your hair blows back.
Cobwebs.
It's just, it is just the coolest feeling to feel a spirit just whoosh.
So here, I'll tell you, here's my version of that. There was a haunted house in Gatlinburg, and this was in college. And you went into the waiting room, and I walked over to where the fireplace was. And we passed by a suit of arms standing right by the door when we walked in. So I walked over there, and we were in the waiting room. We were waiting. And after about 30 minutes, they shut off the lights and turned on the red lights. And I'm sitting there, I was like, I don't like this. And then the suit of armor started moving forward. I'm not kidding. I sped walk across the room, grabbed the suit of armor, slammed him into the wall, and said, nope, you're going to let me the hell out of here. No. And you could hear him just go, look, and I was like, no. And I just kept pushing him into the wall. And I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. I'm going to punch somebody. I can't. I went to one haunted corn maze, and I scared the hell out of all the little high school kids because they jumped out.
How old were you?
No, I scared them because I'm so big.
I got you. Okay.
I was late 20s.
Okay.
But mid 20s, they jumped out. And literally one of the high school kids jumped out, and they went, oh, shit. And I was like, yeah, don't scare me. I'll punch you. Don't.
See, you have that to your advantage. You're so tall, so it's going to be hard to scare you.
I know. Look at Stacy. She's 6 foot, and that scared the crap out of her.
To scare me. It's very easy to scare me.
Does that mean you want to go ghost hunting with us?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Did you want to go and experience one time?
I'm good.
Just one time, something easy.
My friend,
like a cemetery, something easy.
Yeah, something. Oh, there's a good cemetery in Knoxville that. I had my spirit box walking around the cemetery, just trying to talk, see what I can pick up. Walked around to this mausoleum type deal, and it came through the spirit box and told me to burn in hell. And I was like, me? Why? And it just started growling. I'm like, fine, I'll walk away.
But you were by yourself, too.
I was by myself, too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find my friend do y'all know Jennifer Ball, Baugh? She has a group on Facebook that's like, she likes doing like urban exploration in sketchy places. And she's got a whole Facebook group just of people to try and get people. And there's like 50,000. Y'all need to join that group.
Yeah,
feel like we need to get in
there.
there.
Have them send it to you.
50,000 people in that group. Like, it's kind of crazy. But she's tried to get me to go to like a cemetery at night and stuff. I'm like, I'm going to end up hurting somebody because I'm going to be.
Could you imagine like screaming and running?
Where was the cemetery we went to with the other group that we were members of? What was that one in Rocky Top? What was that called?
Oh, is it where the miners?
Yeah,
the coal miners.
Yeah.
Let me look that up real quick.
We were there.
I'm sorry, 1,200 members.
Oh, okay. Well, you were close.
Yeah.
My son and his girlfriend joined our team, and we went to the cemetery. And we were going around the circle, and around the circle, we were coming back out. My son and I heard somebody whistle, and it was a quiet whistle.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's nobody there but cemetery. And anyway, we went around. We told everybody we went around trying to investigate. But we really didn't get a lot there that night.
Now, would it be Leech?
It was Leech. It was one of the two. There's two of them, but we went to one of them in Rocky Top. And it had a big statue thing with all the miners' names on it that died there. And then there was another not far from there called about the same thing, but there was one or two cemeteries. There's two of them, and we went to one of them, and it was exciting.
I did one of the ghost tours downtown. Is there more than one?
I'm not sure. We don't do
the old downtown. I think there's just the one that I know of in Knoxville. There may be more,
of one.
But they take you into houses too. You got to this one back in the day. You went in houses, but you did the streets.
Okay, then I need to remember about the. About the Hotel Oliver Hotel, like it's haunted. Like one of the floors, there's like. I can't remember if it's one room or an entire room of floors to where there will be scratch marks on the door. Because my friend Jody was living in New York, came back, stayed there. And she was like, she was in that room, walked out, saw that, and said, no, put me in another room. But we went on one, and I hate to disparage this person, but it was awful. And it was, he had meters and stuff, and we weren't getting anything. Then we finally got something. He's like, okay, on to the next one. I was like, wait, no, we're getting something here. Why are we not staying here? Like, it was just... And you all cannot say anything.
So I don't know if it's exactly them. I've been on a few in South Carolina. They like to kick up dirt a little bit, and they're like, okay, it's time to take your pictures. And they're like, look at all these orbs. But it's dirt and dust reflecting off your flash. And we like to debunk. We're debunkers.
We go back and debunk.
People don't like it when we're like, no, I'm sorry, that was actually a bug. That was dust.
Or water drip, and they hear noises. And if you look, you'll have condensation. There's one place we went to, and there's condensation dripping down on the cardboard boxes. So every few minutes, you got this pinging noise. And if you get up and look, you're going to see what it is.
Well, I will say, we went to the cemetery that's right in the middle of downtown behind the Tennessee Theater.
Oh, that really old one?
Yes. Okay. And we walked around there, and I could feel like it was creepy as shit. Like it was, I was like, I can't look up. I have too active of an imagination. There's that church right next door. I was like, I can't look into the windows because I'm going to see something. I'm going to see something, and I'm going to push over people to get the hell out of here. I was like, I can't do it. I am a pansy. I was like, I cannot do this.
There's a ghost, and just start pushing people.
Yeah. No. Okay. So you into horror as a kid. So at what point did you feel drawn into this? I put investigating the paranormal. Is that the proper term?
Oh, I've always been interested in the paranormal. I grew up in Louisiana. Our house was haunted growing up. I mean, things would happen in the house, and I'd go to my parents saying, this just happened. I just saw someone walk down the hall. I'm like, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Well, later I found out they said, yeah, Susie, the house was haunted. We didn't want to scare you as a kid. I'm like, I knew that. I mean, you wake up one morning, all your cabinet doors are open, or you get touched in the middle of the night, or your closet doors will open. Shadow people constantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. I'm sleeping with all the lights on in the house.
Mine, we went to the World's Fair. When they had the World's Fair, quite a few years later, they turned it into an amusement park. You won stuffed animals. You played games.
Yeah.
You won stuff. You won goldfish, all this. I won a teddy bear bigger than I was. We were in Ballard, and the neighbor across the street said our house was haunted. Mom didn't want to hear about it. And they slept downstairs. We had 3 floors, the basement, the main floor, upstairs. We slept upstairs. My brother cleared down the other end, and I had to sleep with my sister in a room. She was scared. We shared a room. House next to us, that's the corner, and across the street was this humongous park. The street lights were on at night, and for whatever reason, I could hear noise in the spare bedroom that nobody was sleeping in. And then all of a sudden, this lady, a shadow, and you could see her, a long dress, long hair, and she's walking across the wall. And I thought, okay, I'm getting goosebumps now. It scared me. I thought, okay, somebody's at the park and they hit the street light just right, and it's reflecting on the wall. She walked and turned and come to me, and I thought, oh my God. And I put this teddy bear on top of me, and I'm squeezing it, and I'm mashing my face, and she touched me. And it was cold, and I couldn't explain exactly how I felt, but it scared me, but not enough that we didn't start sneaking out at night and going into empty homes that we heard were haunted. But that was how I got started. And back then, you didn't lock your doors. You didn't have screens on your windows. We didn't have bugs flying around at night. But yeah, we started. I don't know what we were going to do if we come across something, but we were looking for shadow people or anything in empty houses we thought were haunted.
Oh, shadow people are awesome.
Oh, it is. And
so what is a shadow person?
It's what I showed you on my phone.
Well, there's a bunch of theories about what exactly is a shadow person. There's theories that maybe it's something coming through interdimensionally, or some people say it's a demonic spirit, or people say that's just spirits manifesting. But they do charge at you.
Okay.
They have charged at us.
Okay.
One was crossing the doorway, and me and Rhonda were standing there, and we're saying, we'll leave if you just show yourself. So the shadow, it had to be like, 7 foot tall? It was huge. Stands in the doorway, gets down on its hands and knees, and just starts crawling at us as fast as it could. We look at each other, and we just back up. We're like, okay. We're good. Okay. Yeah. Your point
but
was
we
made.
did go back. We did go
back.
But it's not natural to see something like that crawl on the floor. We can deal with walking, but you don't crawl on the floor.
Don't crawl on the floor.
It's just
don't slither.
Yeah,
they love slithering at you.
But we did go around the corner. We did take a moment. We took a break, and we did go back.
Yeah, we looked for them again.
And you're looking at this long hallway, and you got the exit sign lit up, so you can see them crossing. Because it's lit up a red light. So when you investigate, not to scare them off, you use a red flashlight so you can see them passing. Rumor has it a white light will cause them to run away and disappear. So to see them, we use our red lights.
Okay. Okay. The red light.
A red flashlight.
Right.
You can get them. But we held our ground after we got our composure. Because crawling is just, that's just gross.
Yeah. It was just weird. It crawled so fast. It was just inhuman type crawling. What is it? The Rose Opera House. They will slither at you.
Where's that at? The Rose?
That's in Kentucky. I think I wrote that down. Let's see.
It's an old opera house from the 1800s.
Oh, wow.
And they remade it into a movie theater. It's like a little mom and pop type place now.
Yeah, they do. It's on Facebook. And I friended them, and they still do live shows.
Yeah.
And they do movies and stuff like that. We debunked a lot or she did. I was sitting trying to do EVPs, and she was going around with her meter. She debunked the upstairs. We felt the upstairs was because the electricity.
Yeah, my EMF meter was getting pings, and it was a lot of exposed wiring, and a lot of that people will feel like something's watching them. They'll feel like anxious, but it's actually just high EMFs.
Oh, okay.
And you just take your meter and you can read it.
Well,
And
I know the Bijou, there's thoughts that like do you know about the Bijou, like the third floor and then back where the brothel used to be, where the hotel used to be?
Yeah, I heard it's haunted, but you can't get in there to investigate. Well,
if you go
certain people
we've
can
not
investigate.
tried, but yeah, it's
anytime they have an open house, they'll take you up there.
Will they
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, because I've
Okay.
been up there, and also there have been places where I've been like, and there were where I could feel, I was like, I just don't feel comfortable in here. And one of them was Lakeshore, which the old mental hospital has been turned
Yes.
into. So I went out there. I was on the city's business advisory council when we went out there to learn more about the Parks and Rec department. Well, they took us down to the basement. And
Sweet.
they all went in the
Nice.
elevator and left me down there alone. I was like, I will hurt what are you doing? It was middle of the day, and I'm still like, get me the hell out of here.
And here I am jealous.
Yeah.
I would love to be alone in a basement of a haunted building.
just the two of us were at Bobby Mackey's, and we were in the basement by ourselves. And if you've heard the rumors, and Ghost Adventures said it was a portal to hell, we were down there, just the two of us.
No.
And we didn't get run out of there or anything, but we heard noises and stuff. But it wasn't.
I only had something pull my hair at Bobby Mackey's.
And I saw that.
She saw the shadow standing behind me. Something like jerked my hair. So I throw my hood on, and she said, "Don't move. There's a shadow behind you."
Huh. I would say, I wonder if Lakeshore, if it's less, because I think they tore down most of the buildings.
Oh, no.
I've heard that they...
Well, I mean, would it be like, would the grounds be...
My theory is, the spirits sometimes are tied to the location. I mean, it's all a theory, but I think they still have memories, attachments. I don't see them leaving.
Brand new houses go up. A brand new home.
Yeah.
These people move in. It's haunted. Okay, so you go back, you do your background check. Somebody died a half a mile down the road or something. Yeah, I agree with her. The grounds can be haunted, and then they come in your house. If they don't tear down all the buildings, what was in that part can come over to the rest of the building, or they can move to a house closer or a building closer. But yeah, look at how many people build a brand new home and it's haunted.
Yeah.
It's the grounds. It's got to be.
I remember, when, I'm trying to remember who it was. Somebody in like the 2000s tore down the Tate LaBianca house, the one where Sharon Tate got murdered by the Manson women and Tex or whatever his name was, that they were like, the house just felt uncomfortable and we just want to tear it down to try and get rid of the spirits or whatever. Never heard anything past that, but I was always fascinated by that. So in New Orleans, when Trent Reznor did Nine Inch Nails' album, The Fragile, he moved to New Orleans, and he recorded that whole album in an old funeral home downtown.
That would be cool.
And he said,
awesome.
It was wild. It was one of the articles written about it. He said it was wild because like the glass was almost like a two-way glass, so he could see the people outside like milling about while he's in just this dark dungeon of of a building. He was like, what a trip it was to do that. But he recorded the Downward Spiral in the Tate LaBianca house.
That's amazing.
And said he didn't know. He got there. He just wanted a house to rent to record, and then found out it was that. And he was like, "Oh, that's going to influence the hell out of this album because that's something else." Like
Vincent Price was movies when I was growing up, and then he did Michael Jackson Thriller.
Yeah.
So that's who I had to think. That's who I watched growing up.
Oh, okay.
But it was back then there wasn't anything about ghosts. There wasn't ghost stories.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything about that. Now there's all kinds. They got the girl ring coming out of the TV set,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh my goodness, how it didn't scare me, but I watched it, and my daughter and her friends were screaming.
Although I will say, the first time I watched the Blair Witch Project, it was in my friend's apartment, and he cut out all the lights, and we watched it. And it scared me so bad that another guy and I walked out to our cars together. And then I got home, and I have such a vivid imagination. Like, I slept with the lights on for like 2 weeks because I kept seeing that guy turn with his back turned, and I would wake up and look in the corner, and I could see him for half a second. And it just scared the shit out of me. I was like, I got to have the lights on so I can see he's not really there. Like, it just scared me.
See, I did that with Grizzly.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, we have a bear now in Roane County, and it ran around my Jeep 3 different times and down into the woods. That scared me, and I had dreams about bears forever.
But not spirits.
No, bears are chasing me. And my daughter Googled and said that was unfinished business. So evidently I've got a lot of unfinished business. But no, I've not dreamed about ghosts. It's been bears chasing me.
So I can tell you a really scary one. So we don't think a lot of things are demonic. A lot of people jump on the conclusion like, oh, that's demonic. Yeah. I've only ran into that maybe once in my life, and it's questionable. So I used to live right outside of St. Augustine, Florida, and that place is
my friends live in St. Augustine.
History.
I visited there a bunch of times. Yeah,
it's haunted.
Yeah, that was. I guess I was probably in my early 20s, and we ran around with another group, another paranormal group, and they took us to this, like, it's this shed in the back of a hotel. It used to be like an old bar, then it got turned into a storage unit. So we walk in there, right away, growls everywhere. And I'm new about the whole negative spirit thing, not protecting myself going in. So I'm going around saying, hey, prove that you're really here. Do something. I'm right here. Next thing I know, there's like the whole back of my body just feels like it's on fire. It was like someone just lit me straight up. My head was it felt like it was going to explode. My eyes were bulging. The guys were like, you got to get out of here. We got to go. So I walk out of the building. They say, can we lift up the back of your shirt? They lifted the back. I had scratches, just tons and tons of scratches. And I was like, I think I'm going to kind of head home from this. Well, the next 2 months was hell, complete hell. I've never been so depressed in my entire life. I would see shadows like out the corners of my eye, and there was days I couldn't get out of the bed. I don't know why. I was just so depressed and down. Everything just felt dark, and I didn't know what to do to get this off of me. So I'm like, I'm gonna try going to this church and seeing, what maybe I can pray and get a prayer chain going. I don't know, do something. I was desperate. Well, I'm standing there. This woman just randomly walks up to me. She puts her hand on my shoulder, and she said, I can see it. I was like, what? She said, I see a lion pacing in the living room. She's like, you had this lion attached to you. And I was like, are you serious right now? And she goes, I'll be back. She left, came back with a group of people. They all laid hands on me and just started praying. And I don't know, maybe 10 minutes went by, and it just felt like this huge weight just lifted off of me. And it was like I wasn't walking in fog anymore. I wasn't seeing weird shadows out the corner of my eye. My dogs weren't going crazy in the middle of the night. I really think I may have had a run-in with possibly a negative entity. I don't want to go straight to demonic, but I definitely had some sort of attachment. And from that day forward, I always protect myself. So if you ever go into a haunted location, like whatever your beliefs are, just ask for protection to keep the negative off of you. But other than that, no other crazy stuff.
You can run into spirits, ghosts that can stand their ground and be just as mean as demonic. And it's not a demonic. It's just a mean ghost.
Just like there's mean people here.
You got mean ghosts.
Assholes in the afterlife.
Yeah, so
That's your first T-shirt. Assholes in the afterlife.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Or I don't give a rat's ass. You know, you got the donkey and the rat. That's my favorite. So yeah.
What made you start? Like, what was the thing that made you realize this was a thing? The investigating or looking into stuff. I know going into houses and stuff, but was there a point where it was like, oh, this is an actual real thing that I should be doing?
Well, because it's you. There's too much out there to do research on, so you pick. And I picked shallow people because that was my first contact. That's what I want to know about. And then you get different people saying, well, they're entities, it's space, it's dimensional, like she said. I don't know. I read research. A man has come across 1,000. He's been doing this for 30 years. He's come across them with no face. He's come across them with white eyes and the red. And he said the red are the ones that creep him, but he feels it's an entity. I don't know. There's just too much out there to learn. So instead of trying to learn it all, I pick one thing, and that's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
And it's mostly shadow people.
Okay.
I think mine is just wanting to know what is out there in the afterlife. And what really got me into it was I started getting answers. I have a spirit box. I used my SB7 and I made a box to kind of amplify it and cut down the white noise and slow it down. And when you would ask questions, and you can start to tell the difference between radio coming through and then voices. It's when I started getting intelligent responses. You're actually having conversations with people on the other side. But the odd thing is, this is what I keep wanting to learn about. When you start asking in-depth questions, they'll leave. Like when you say, well, like, do you see a God on the other side? Do you see this? Like, are all these things true that we read about? They're gone. Huh. They will not answer. It's like they have some sort of rules or laws they have to follow. And that's what I'm trying to go after. I'm wanting to know more in details of their day-to-day life.
And when you pick up somebody, you can buy a tape recorder, just a little digital, go live, plug it into headphones. So when you are moving around in a building or a house or whatever, you're asking questions. You're going to start hearing responses. If you don't use the headphones and go live and you just got your tape recorder, you're asking questions. When you go home and you go over your tape, well, God, I could have talked to this person. This person answered me. So when you're going live, it's really kind of eerie because you hear noises and you just don't know where it's coming from. And I think for me, not knowing where it's coming from fears me just a little because I don't have control because I don't know where it's at, versus carrying my tape recorder and not going live and I can hear everything around me, but I don't know if I'm having conversations or not.
Okay. We've kind of touched a little bit on equipment, and I had MP3 recorder, so I was not far off.
Right.
And you've shown me some stuff. So, like, what are examples of what? Like some of the things you've mentioned, maybe what that is and what it does. Like when you, now I can't even pull it.
What the equipment does, what each one does?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what do you like to utilize, or what have you found are the best things to use?
Actually, my favorite thing is just intuition, really. Okay. Like just yourself, the feelings that you can pick up. That's actually your best tool that you can use. Then my go-to is I like the spirit box. I love conversing. And
you do the SLS a lot too.
I do my SLS. I did build an SLS.
So what is a spirit box and what is a SLS?
Okay. So the spirit box is where you can talk live to the, quote, spirits. And then my SLS is where you can actually see the spirits. Have you ever played Connect on Xbox? That's what it uses. It uses like the stick figures, and that's what it maps out the joints of the body. Okay. So it looks like a stick figure, and that's what I'll point to. And you've got to get through like the doorways because it'll pick up like that's a entity. But when you debunk it and it's actually doing what you're telling it to, that's when you know you pick up something. Okay. So my SLS, I'll have to show you some videos. That's some of the best evidence I've ever gotten, especially at the Rose Opera House. I pointed my SLS into the corner, and the stick figure popped up. I'm like, oh, that's just a doorway or something. But we decided, let's ask some questions. I think Rhonda asked some questions.
It waved. We asked for it to raise his hand.
The first part, we'll get to the questions, I guess. I forgot about the first part. It was, we said, raise your hand for yes, like don't raise your hand for no. And then you said, did you work the projector? And it raised its hand. And then what was the second question you asked? Because
I thought I turned that off. I'm sorry, my bad.
You're okay.
we asked the age. We said, are you under 30? And it raised its other hand. And we're looking at each other. And then we said, okay, I think we asked, are you female?
Right. We found out they work there. And then,
they work there. And
then we asked male or female.
Yeah, and they put their hands down. And so it's funny though, because I'm just imagining this person standing there with its arms straight up conversing with us. But I'll have to show you that video because the SLS is just an amazing tool. And I built that one. I built a lot of my equipment.
Okay.
Yeah, you're paying $300, almost $400, some places $400, and they built their own for a whole lot less than that.
Okay.
What's your go-to equipment?
My go-to is my tape recorder, my cell phone for tape recording because I can do short sessions, and I let you hear one of the short sessions. Yeah. I've got a really cool one too that I got on my cell phone, but I use a tape recorder and my phone for pictures. And I've caught in some stuff on my phone. So for me, those are the go-to. I do have my cat balls, the little plastic balls. You turn the button, the light comes on. Mm-hmm. You set it in the floor and you set it away from you. And if there's anybody around, it'll start, if somebody touches it, it lights up.
Okay.
So that's a trigger item. But so far, mine's been the tape recorder and my phone.
You mentioned you got a camera.
Okay, I have a same camera she's got. I think it's a LG or a Samsung or something. But it's a digital camera. Put your SD card in. I can do video. I can't do camera, but I can do video in night vision. And I can set it down and I can set it for automatic. So anything that passes where it can see it, it will start videoing. And that's how I caught my shadow person. And she's got the same camera I've got. So my camera, unless hers does, my camera doesn't have night vision.
Okay.
And when you're taking snapshots, you really need the night vision to really get pictures. The night vision camera that I use caught the shadow person. Mikey's Waverly taking a snapshot with my phone. I do have a picture. I can show you that. You take 3 pictures in a row, so you've got something to go by if you happen to catch something. It was like something was trying to manifest, and you could see the white shoes like maybe a nurse. Mm-hmm. And you could see it way back. The first one, nothing. The second one, way back against the wall. And then I took a 3rd picture, and it was closer to us. And those are my favorites, is what I use.
Okay.
But there's you can buy everything out there and go overboard and wind up not using all of it.
You can even use basic things like a trail cam.
Yeah, trail cam. I use my trail cam. I have a body camera, and it's automatic too, and it does night vision.
Okay.
It's a policeman's, what a policeman would wear, and those are great because it's got night vision on it.
So was it called like an e-meter or something, a real thing, or whatever it's called, where you can kind of gauge...
Like the EMF?
Yeah. What is the EMF?
Okay, that's what she used to debunk the upstairs at the Opera House, the electricity.
Okay.
You're going through to see if the EMF, the electricity is too high in a person's house. If we come in with our EMF meter and we're checking your electricity is too high in your house, like she said, you hallucinate. There's things that...
The electromagnetic field.
Right, yeah, the electromagnetic field. And then you go through... And then you got to get an electrician in because you've got wiring problems. And it's the same with
You're not haunted. You got wiring problems.
It happens. I mean, one woman called me in because she swore up and down her house was haunted. This one room in her house, she kept seeing things. She felt things. So I was like, yeah, I'll come check it out. And I went in the room like, yeah, it does feel kind of off. Let me pull my EMF meter out first. Let's see how we're doing with the wiring and stuff. So I go and I point it up to her fan. I mean, it just lit up red. And so I started, experimenting, seeing how high up it was. So I come to find out, she's like, oh, I just hired someone off the street to hook this fan up. I was like, well, you probably need to get, new wiring in your ceiling fan. This is why you're experiencing this. And I mean, she was disappointed because our house wasn't haunted. But that's the thing. Not everything is paranormal.
No. REM pods. We started making our own REM pods. And they're so much better for me. I like mine better than the great big, because I guess mine is so cheap compared to buying the big round one. And a lot of stuff that you can make. But like she said, when you go anywhere, you got to debunk. And I know you have mentioned being several places. You can go into a place and right now you're in here, this feels comfortable. But then let's say all of a sudden it gets heavy. You're going to be able to pick that up. Just the feeling this room is heavy. You don't have to have powers to know that that lets you know that there's something in the room with you when it gets heavy.
Oh, yeah. It's
you can feel it. You can feel it.
Well, I was Alcatraz. When I went to Alcatraz, you could tell. Like there was so much, and it was wild because you can walk into the what is it called, solitary confinement room, and some dude walked up and started closing the door when I was in there, and I was like, hey, no. I don't know if they've removed the lock, but you are not locking me in here. I will kill you. But you could feel it. And there were times where I was there during the day. I was afraid to look up because I was like, I'm going to see something. It's going to scare the shit out of me.
I'd love to go there.
So one thing they do, I don't know, surely they do ghost tours there. Surely. Like
you would think.
But while I was there, it was November, and for Halloween night, they had done a production of a Shakespeare play, maybe Twelfth Night or something, on like the it wasn't where it was on the outside. It was almost like if a helicopter came in and landed. It was on that area, and that's where they did 12th Night. I looked at it, I was like, oh man, that's cool. I wish I was here for that. No, I do not. I do not want to be on this island at night, because it was middle of the night. They didn't have any lights. They just did like candles and fire and stuff. I was like, hell no.
Well, that sounds like the perfect night, actually.
To stay the night. We went, I want to think it was Hell's Bar. Suzi was in front of me, and I was behind Suzi. She walked, we're in this great big room. She walks into like cobwebs, static, and she said, oh my God. And then I walked in it too, and it's like your whole face was covered. You remember that?
Yeah.
And they kept saying there was a doppelganger there. I don't know. We just know we were clear down in the tunnel, and we could hear the people that were with us clear down on the other end. So whether it was them or a doppelganger, I don't know, but both her and I walked through this wall, and you could feel it. And it's an open room, and we've already been passing. So you got to rule out cobwebs.
Cleared any real cobwebs.
Right. If there was any cobwebs, she got them first and cleared it. I shouldn't have got it. And Lynchburg, the haunted museum jail, I did the same thing upstairs in the parents' room where the wedding dress is. Is that the kids' or the parents' room? Do you remember that?
That's the kids' room.
Okay, the kids' room, and the next door is the parents. But Ronnie had his cameras set up, so if there was anything, you would get something on I didn't get to watch the screen, so I don't know what was popping up. But I was up there by myself, and I walked through 2 walls of like staticky cobweb, and it excited me because I thought for sure I was going to see something manifest. It didn't, but I had Suzi and Devin come upstairs, and they walked all around, and evidently it was gone. But you could not touch the wedding dress, but feel around it, and you got the same feeling like it was attached to that dress.
This is the Moore County Jail in Lynchburg.
And it's
a
in
really
Lynchburg.
good place.
And then across the street is the haunted house.
Oh, it's an old funeral home. You get to stay the night in an old funeral home.
It's sad that I know this. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but I have a friend who's obsessed with crappy reality TV, and we went to a cabin last year. and we were watching Kim Zolnick. Do you know who Kim Zolnick is? She's one of the women on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And her and her husband got in a bus and did a tour across America or something. And I think one of the first places they stayed was someplace. You ought to watch it. It sucks.
I know, but I don't watch reality. I just.
But I would say watch that one section because it was they went to a place, and I swear I take that back. I don't think it was that because wherever they went was in the middle of nowhere, and it was a house, and they got to go through, and it was haunted, and it was wild. It was wild to watch. I wonder if it
would be the same place because this is called Lynchburg Haunted Home now, but it used to be an old funeral home. Like it was the original funeral home of Lynchburg. It was like the only funeral home, right? And like
they viewed the 1900 people up the street from the jail. Remember, we went to that underground
underneath
or downstairs.
The
That's
jail.
Where they viewed the people.
They propped the people up to go do the viewing. So Lynchburg.
I'm gonna try it. It didn't take much to find it.
Yeah, now Lynchburg Haunted Home is amazing. You can.
Oh, I was wrong. It was in Illinois.
Now you talking about Lynchburg?
No.
Oh, which one are you looking for? The house you're looking for. Okay.
It was the Connor House Haunted Bed and Breakfast in, good God, what is it? Prairie du Rocher, Illinois. For some reason, I thought they said it was in Tennessee. So this is someplace in Illinois.
Yeah, that's a drive. We're going to the Axe Murder House in April, and we're going to stay the night there.
Yeah, we have a whole paranormal trip coming up in Iowa in April.
Yep, in April. And then we've got one where we're going back to Indiana, and she's going with us this time. So there'll be probably 4 of us if the others back out, but it'll be 4 of us.
An all-women group.
I know.
Badass.
Oh, God. It's
group.
Because we went to our first stop when we got into Indiana. It was the Monroe House. It's 4 p.m. It's July 3rd. So it's really, really hot. The house is hot. The only room that's got a window unit also heats. So you got this tube running outside and the windows are open and there's rags.
Yeah.
And a little bit of plastic. But we get in there and the first thing Stacy said, I just heard a man groan. Not long after that, she heard a woman. Later, I heard a man, I heard a child, I heard a cat, and then we heard footsteps upstairs, somebody upstairs pacing. So, and this is daylight, and I thought, oh God, we're really in for a great night.
Yeah. And
going up the steps is like attic steps, and there's a bunch of them. There's like 20 steps. And down in the basement is a crawl space. The ladder's there, but none of us crawled in there. But you can get down on the ground and crawl in the back. They found bones in there, human bones. Somebody thought they were Indian. Nobody really knows, and they had to put the bones back. And that house has been on several TV shows. And, I mean, it was exciting. And I don't care if we were on the first floor, everybody was upstairs. If we were on the second floor, they were all downstairs. They stayed away from us.
Huh.
But now the cool thing that's going on is the cabinets. I think they're solid doors. Halfway down the outside of the cabinet is dripping water. They don't know where it's coming from. So we're going back, and this is going to be Suzi's first trip.
Okay.
And then we're going to do the Randolph Asylum. We're going to do that again. And I think there's another jail that Chris has found. But we're going to do 4 or 5 places. And each of them, you get to stay the night. So we won't have to check into a hotel or sleep in a car. So we're staying actually in the place that's haunted.
Cool.
And then we had
sorry.
in the living room. We've
Trip
got
of
the
a lifetime
kitchen right
here.
next to us. So we closed the door because it's hot. And when we're going to bed, it's like 4 a.m. and we're going to bed. And we closed the steps going upstairs. And Chris has got a big queen, and I'm sleeping with Chris, and Stacy's right next to the wall next to me. And I've got door chimes. So they're on the opposite side. And we got the door closed, and the door chimes are going off. And it's on Chris's side, so that's kind of eerie for her. And the door chime on the steps, you hear somebody walking up and down. And I can't explain how it's not scary. It's exciting because you've been through that entire house. There's no way nobody can get into the house. So it lets you know that you're actually not alone in a home that it is paranormal. And we closed the basement steps because we didn't need any more excitement that was going on. But she'll get to go this time. And the next night, we stayed 2 nights. We thought, well, it's because of the fireworks. The energy, is making everybody in the house more active. Well, the next night, I guess they felt, well, we're not scared of these girls.
Oh my God.
So, we never could pinpoint where the people were, but you could hear them. You could hear them talking. And then you can hear moaning or something and footsteps. And you go upstairs and they're then downstairs walking. And just 3 of us. And anybody went to the bathroom after hours, somebody went with them. And nobody would go upstairs by themselves.
Yeah, a lot of spirits will play games with you. Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. Have you heard of that place?
Is that
Pittsburgh, Tennessee.
Okay, I want your Pittsburgh,
right
Tennessee or Pittsburgh,
Chattanooga.
Kentucky. Okay.
That place, the first time we ever went there, so, when was this hospital? Like
1930 something, maybe later or earlier than that. I'd have to go and Google and look.
And I believe we were on the 3rd floor and we heard an IV going off. Like the IV pole was done. And so we went chasing it. So we went to where the IV was going off. There's nothing there. And then you'd hear it all the way across the other hall. So we're running down there, hearing this beep. And we get to it. It's on the other side. We're chasing it. It has us on this wild goose chase. So we're all standing in a circle. We're like, okay, we're going to have to break up, go hunt this sound down. And then it starts beeping right in the middle of us.
Yeah, and we did split up.
So they mess with you.
Yeah, some went on the other side, and we all split up. And the lady that owned it, she said to her, it sounded like, she said somebody's equipment is going off. Nobody had equipment that was going off. And the volunteer that was there helping her was a nurse. And she said, that's an IV. And a door opened. We were all standing in front of this door getting ready to go into the x-ray room or something. A door opened right. They had their back to it. And there were 3 of them standing there. And this Suzi's right there. And this door opened.
Yeah, the door pops open right behind me.
It's a closet.
That I kind of like tensed up a little bit. I'm like, I just know something's about to grab me. I just know it.
But you heard the doorknob turn.
Yeah, it turned
and clicked and opened. And it opened just so far, but it opened. And I got into the closet and closed the door. I said, please don't leave me, nobody. And I got in there. It didn't feel heavy. Whatever it was had left because there was nothing in the closet. But they had their backs to it. And Suzi was the closest when the door opened. But nobody, we have it on tape, but nobody had their cell phone going. I mean, their video going to record. But nobody expected a door to open. And then I had a little stuffed dog. It was a baby toy. And we had it set outside the only bathroom that you could use. And it would go off forever. And nobody would go down and use the bathroom. A few of us
Not
would.
alone.
But
it was vulnerable. Like, with your pants down and a spirit coming in the bathroom.
Yeah, because there's not enough electricity. The bathroom doesn't have lights. And what it has is those little lights, motion lights.
Yeah.
That you put in your house underneath the cabinet. And that's the only light you had. And right out there in the chair next to the bathroom was this little dog playing music. And I had to go turn it off and then turn it back on. And then we left again. And sure enough, whatever was there was playing with it.
If you want to see shadow people, go to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
So I was looking it up, and on their website and anything, nothing lists when it was established. That's what I was trying to find.
Yeah, I want to say like 1930 something, maybe okay. 1932.
Yeah, because they've gone through and redid a lot of it, and it looks great now.
Yeah, some of it.
It's pretty big, and second floor is Shadow Alley by the nurse's station. We were there. We had the baby ward and the mental ward.
I am such a pansy. I'm sitting here looking through the photos, and I'm scrolling down. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool how they let that kind of grow up. They've got the... And I get there, it's like, nope, see ya.
Oh, that's where you'll see the shadows. They'll peek
out
at you. They'll walk at you. Ronnie's done a great job with
You'll hear them. Yeah, Ronnie D did a lot. He purchased it.
Yeah, he's the owner of it.
He cleaned it up from the last owner, and they're trying to do a bread and breakfast.
Okay.
And that will be cool if he ever gets that done. I have gone so many times. I even went by myself because everybody on my team couldn't go because they were doing something. So I drive a little over 2 hours, and then they're an hour behind us. So when you're leaving at 4, it's 5 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
And I drove home one night by myself, but another time, another man in Kingston wanted to go. Dr. Jim wanted to go, and he's a teacher at Roan State, so he rode with me. And he's got a friend, he didn't say who it was, but he was building ghost equipment, and he wanted Dr. Jim to try it out.
Oh, okay.
And he was using it, and it was working, it was going off, but we don't, without the guy that building it being there.
Yeah.
Dr. Jim was guessing on what it was doing and stuff like that. But he was just, it was exciting that night.
You can go on public hunts there. They
during
do maybe
the day.
During the day you can do that, so you can feel safe a little bit. I mean, you're still gonna get a ton of activity, but
yeah,
you're not gonna be there in the middle of the
night.
night.
But it's daytime, and you're gonna, it's not as scary. I mean, it's not scary, but if you're scared, it's probably better to do a day tour.
But we've never ran into anything negative there. It's been really good experiences.
And then where they stack the bodies, I went in and we do the Estes method. That's with the PB7. That's the spirit box. And you blindfold and you hook your headphones to the spirit box. And I'm in the body room where they stack the bodies. And then right out from it is a bathroom. And I didn't really need anybody to sit there, but somebody sat there. And out in the other room, they're asking questions. And then when you hear something on the spirit box, it's white noise. It's like a radio.
Yeah.
It's the white noise, and the ghosts talk in the white noise. So you're hearing things, and you're saying everything you hear back, and they're writing it down or whatever. And I'm sitting there, and something's tugging pretty hard on my coat. And the girl that was in there before me had the same thing happen. And it was. I just looked. I took the headphones, the mask off, and I looked, and there wasn't anybody there. But whatever it was there was pulling on my coat.
Oh, I hate when they grab my hair and my clothes. Like, I'm totally fine, like, standing around me, but for some reason, they always go for my hair, and they'll jerk my ponytail back. This has happened so many places. So I'll start wearing hoods, jackets with the hoods on.
Keep from being touched.
At the Opera House, sitting up in the balcony area, something was tickling the back of my calves, and then next thing I know, it's like pulling my hair and my head's jerking back, and I'm like, stop touching me. And I point the SLS at Rhonda because I'm like, why are they touching me? This little figure is on her shoulder, and I've got it on the SLS, and I do have the video that you can post and watch. Yeah. It's this little figure, and I don't tell her at first. I'm just looking at her, and at that time, she's like, "Oh, my chest." She's like, "I'm having a hard time breathing." And you said your head,
shoulder hurt.
Your shoulder hurt. This thing, when I'm watching, is like looks like it's digging into her shoulder.
Two of them.
And she's sitting right beside me. I'm like, Rhonda, don't move. There is something on your shoulder. And I'm like, that's probably what was tickling my legs and pulling my hair. And we were talking with it, and it just poof, gone.
And it was, the second floor had kids, and they were small enough. The stick figures were small enough to be kids.
Mm-hmm.
And downstairs, the guy that was standing and got down on the floor was bigger, so we knew that was an adult.
Okay.
And then we're downstairs in the front aisle, and we kept hearing somebody in the back behind the stage hammering and working.
Yeah, it was like they were still working and building props behind the stage.
And we go back there, and there's not a soul back there. And the noise stopped. So is it a residual, or is it with somebody back there? You don't know. I can't debunk something like that. I'm not a pro to do something like that. But somebody that's been there for years can pretty well tell if it's really a spirit back there, or if it's something that repeats itself over and over again for the rest of its life. I don't know, but we heard it. And it's just the two of us. And we got this whole place to ourselves.
It was just me and her investigating this opera house.
And then you go into the front door, you got the concession stand, then you go through the opening doorways, no doors, just open wide. I put a spirit box on this side, a spirit box on this side. Then you got the auditorium. And I couldn't get down on the floor. I had hip problems. She's in the floor in a sleeping bag, and all of a sudden the door chime goes off. She scoots up further on the wall because she thought, well, maybe that's me. No, we went to sleep anyway, but the door chime, you'd hear the door chime go off.
So something was messing with us while we're sleeping.
They were passing, but we slept. We went to sleep.
It's comfortable to sleep with the spirits.
I know.
Nope. What are some of the best places in your all's experiences for occurrences? Like we've mentioned hospitals, but the opera house, like
there's so many.
Grand Old Lady
was amazing.
But now,
hands down, best place.
But it like it can be anything from like a hotel to a cemetery?
This was a hotel.
It was a bed and breakfast.
She lived in Australia or New Zealand. She lived somewhere, and she watched on the recorder. She has cameras, so she viewed the cameras while we were there.
She's the owner of this bed and breakfast, but works it from a whole other country.
Right, and she sold it, and now they're turning it into an asylum.
Yeah.
A mental hospital, and you're going to have to go through. Look, that's going to be messing with the patients.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do a 72-hour hold, and I'm going to go.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to go there again.
Yeah,
just so we can investigate.
Insane. But she was in a room by herself, and my son's ex-girlfriend and I shared a room, and Devin and Chris shared a room, and they brought little blankets to plug up because it was going to get down about freezing.
Oh, I've never felt cold like this.
We
in my
froze
life.
that entire night, but you heard footsteps all over the place. And when we closed our doors, she thought it was us.
I thought it was them up and down all night. I'm like, I'm trying to sleep. They're like, we're not moving.
It wasn't us. And then they tripped a breaker because they had too much plugged into the outlet. And I go out and I I flipped the breaker back and closed the door. And I go back into the room and we're talking. And then we all decide to go to bed. And you're walking out and we're right at the end of the staircase. And you hear footsteps up and down the steps. And then we go to bed. And then I heard a click, which was the breaker. Then I heard footsteps. And they said it wasn't them. They didn't touch the breaker. When it went out the second time, they didn't mess with it. But yes, there was footsteps to the breaker box. You heard the click and you heard the footsteps walk away. They swear it wasn't them. And I didn't get up to go see because it was too cold.
There was a lot of shadow. Something knocked your headphones right off your head.
It just pulled them right down onto my shoulder. And you were with the other. We all split up. And she was downstairs. But on the second floor, instead of taking the steps because two of us had knee problems, we had to take the elevator. But around the corner, Devin saw it first, and then she freaked out. And then I saw it, and I go, oh, my God, this is so cool. I got excited. But I saw the neck and the shoulder and the head of a shadow person stick his head around the corner looking at us. I said, oh, my God, I see him. And I'm heading that way, and they're telling me no. And Devin wants to leave, and we go back downstairs. But that was another time I got to see.
I think what makes this one stand out is because it was so many intelligent entities in this place.
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't just a bunch of residual stuff. It was actually, you were having conversations on the spirit box. You could physically see spirits walking by. You could hear them. They were messing with you. They were grabbing you, touching you.
And in the basement, they had salt across the basement.
Yeah, they said we were
and
not
then
allowed in the basement because
on top. There was something dark down there.
Yeah, they said
thought
there was something dark and we were not allowed to go down there. Don't ever open the door. So yeah, they said they had it blessed, salt, crystals. They had
keep it
all
from coming
of it.
up.
Yeah.
So whatever was downstairs.
I want in there. I was so tempted to be like, just let me do a little peek and
No, they had cameras. You couldn't touch it.
Oh, okay.
And then that was right before you go into the kitchen, and we're in the kitchen, and I'm had the headphones on and my tape recorder. I was listening live, and then all of a sudden it just slides down and rests on my shoulder. I said, somebody just pulled my headphones off. You guys played the piano. We got a lot of activity with the piano playing. And that place was just extremely active. And we didn't get to go back.
Yeah,
and
they sold it.
Yeah, she sold it. But God, yes, I would have gone back in a heartbeat.
So it sounds like, do a lot of these, any place you go, do you have to get approval before you go? You do. And it sounds like a lot of them, they are leaning into this is a thing. Because you're talking about
they're making money.
Because you're talking about plugging in stuff. And,
Yeah.
they've got to have power and stuff. But you have to get approval to go in.
Yeah, we never really sneak in places. We always...
There was one place, yes, there was one place. I'm not going to say I snuck in it. I didn't break and enter.
They didn't have locks on it. They didn't
2
have
doors
signs
were
that said
open.
no trespassing.
There was no signs, no trespassing. There was ditto nothing.
They were asking for it.
And there
I'm
was
just
2
kidding.
doors that we knew that were unlocked. And her and I went by ourselves. And that's the night we saw the shadow person at the end of the hallway. Exit sign is lit up, so you see him come around the corner. And I said, is he getting on the floor? She says, oh my God, he's getting on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And that is just the grossest. That is the creepiest.
This is where we saw like a full-bodied nurse walk by the door. It looked like just me and you sitting here. She just walked right by the door. It was in the surgical area.
There was a lot that went on in there. And then we went back. I'm not going to tell you how many times, but we went back more than a handful.
Let's just say we can legally go in there now.
And
I will say that we do have permission now.
We had 2 others that came with us in the nurses station of the hospital. I looked in there and I saw a shadow person, and it startled me, and I thought it was a homeless person because they do break in and they do stay there. And I scratched her trying to get out, but one of the little girls that was with us ran across the road.
She was so scared. She darted out, ran into the road, and like to have gotten hit by a car.
She didn't want to go back
her
in
to death.
But I had to go back.
Oh, yeah.
And Susie said, is it a person? Is it a person? I said, no. And when I saw him, it was a thin, dark, wide shadow. No face.
Yeah.
And when he turned and looked at us through the glass, Devin seen it, and she did something, hollered or said something. But then that's when her daughter ran out into the road, and I couldn't run. Susie was in front of me, and we walked out, but I had to go back. And we went back, and he was still there, and I said, Susie, come here, put your face up against the window. She wouldn't do it.
I just don't know if I want to be face to face.
No.
Like,
but I would put my face up, and he'd do the same thing. And we walked away and did some investigating with some shadow people, but we came back, and he was gone. But you couldn't get a picture. You can't take picture through glass.
Right.
But here's my opportunity. God bless, nobody would open the door for me to get a picture. We didn't want to be that close.
Yeah.
And just a wall between us and a window, that's all we had, the door. And you couldn't take a picture. It would reflect back you, and you just can't do it. But that was awesome. And we did catch our composure. We did go back in. We did some more investigating. We went several times after that. And on the 3rd floor, conversation between a woman and a man. You can hear them right there at the nurse's station. Get ready to go down the steps to the 2nd floor. A man's going, hello. I said, did you guys hear that? No, what was it? I said, somebody said, hello. That was exciting. And it's neat.
Yeah, a lot of these places you call and you book overnight investigations. Some of them you can stay the night and sleep in there. Some of them it's only maybe like 8 hours. Some do group investigations, day tours. So yeah, you got to have permission. We advise it.
Yeah, but we didn't break anything, and we didn't cut locks. We didn't break into anything, but we did enter with doors open, unlocked. Not open, but unlocked.
What's the most interesting location you've ever been to?
Oh, I love Lynchburg. All like the jail out there. They're across the street from each other. The Moore County Jail and then the funeral home. I go out there every chance I can get.
I've got voices at the jail. I've got voices at the haunted house across the street.
It's like spirits jump, because on the spirit box, they say they travel. They'll go from business to business. I mean, Lynchburg itself is it's very interesting.
This
everything
little town,
is haunted.
it's small, U-shape with the courthouse at the beginning, and then you go around. It's like a U-shape, and just about every one of the businesses are haunted there, and they won't talk about it. A lot of them won't talk about it. But now Ronnie's been able to investigate a few of them. Right in front of his business when you're going back out the steps of his little building he's got, that one building right there, he got to investigate that. But people don't want to talk about it. And they'll come in and they'll tell you, yeah, things have been moved and stuff like that. But they won't stay after dark.
Yeah, a lot of people won't allow us in there.
Town shuts down at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, the whole town shuts down at 5. A lot of businesses, they don't want to talk about it being haunted. I guess it's kind of like a old school type of mentality out there. No one wants to talk about it. I'm like, this place is a gold mine of spirits.
Because anybody there could open up to the public and charge to come in at night, and they're making money, but nobody will do it except for 2 places, and that's the museum and across the street the old haunted house.
I think it's interesting because there is a lot of intelligence.
Yeah.
In there. It's also complete with a pet cemetery out back, which you'll pick up some. You got a dog bark, I believe.
There's dog
inside.
Barking, but now when Missy went, I think you had school and you were working, you couldn't go. And out back on the roof, Missy took a picture, and it's a cat.
Yep,
I remember that.
You saw I was there. Yeah.
Were you there for that
one?
Okay, I couldn't remember. I know because she's an ambulance driver now.
No, I'm not an ambulance driver.
She's a paramedic in the ambulance.
I'm an EMT.
She's an EMT, so she's going to class on some of these, so it's hard to remember when she comes or not. But now that she's graduated, she's an EMT. But she took a picture, and I got to see it. And the cat is dissolving, if that's the word. You can see the head of the cat maybe dissolving.
Yeah, she did like picture back to back to back, and you can you start to see the cat just kind of
disappearing,
fading in the pictures.
But when you take pictures, stay as still as you can. Make sure your hair, there's nothing in your way, and take 3 consecutive or 2. That way, if you do catch something, you got a better way of debunking it, because if it's in all 3, you may as well forget it. If it's in 1 and not the other 2, then chances are you've picked up something. And we've gotten voices on the 2nd floor, and you and Rachel were in one room, and I was in a room, Christina's room, by myself at the old haunted house, and I got voices, and I come back out and told them, and they were afraid to come in because they didn't want to stop the communication to whatever was in there. But we've had some stuff to happen, and she saw her and her husband. She can tell you about that, something on the wall.
Oh, I couldn't octopus. See it. I don't understand this. Like, I've asked so many people, like, who's been in the field for years, like, have you ever seen this? Can you tell me what this is? So we use a tool like a grid light. It's just a bunch of lasers that go up on the wall, and you can see shadow people a lot easier. So we're sitting in the viewing room where they used to have the funerals, and we're just sitting there watching, and then we just saw this, what looked like an octopus tentacle, kind of go like in a fluid motion across the wall. We're all looking at each other and looking at that, and then it sucks backwards, and then it comes up like an octopus tentacle, and then like kind of like splashes down, and then sucks back. And we're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like an octopus tentacle? That's the only thing I could explain what it looked like. And for years, I've been asking, researching, what is this thing? Like, what did we see? And no one has seen anything like that. And all I can think of is Stranger Things. You know how they go and they see like the monsters on the other side. That's all that I can think of. Like, maybe there is interdimensional things, because this was an octopus arm.
What's the most haunted location you've ever been to?
For me, I think the Grand Old Lady.
Okay.
Then the Monroe House and the Randolph Asylum, and this place that we went into several times without permission, but the doors were unlocked. For that, I think we got a lot as far as seeing and hearing things.
Okay.
So there's been several that we've gone to.
Has there been any outdoors? Like I'm hearing a lot of indoors,
yes.
but
Oh, there's one. I would love to take you here. This would be one to ease you in, okay?
Yeah.
This one's out in Harriman. It's a fort. What was this called? Fort?
It's Old South. No, I'm sorry. It's
Fort South.
Yeah, Fort South Point. Fort South
Okay, here I
Point.
got
It's
it.
in Kingston.
Fort Southwest Point.
Yes, and it's in Kingston.
These aren't the original forts. They went through and rebuilt it. But this goes back to where we're talking about, like, if buildings were demolished, would they still be attached to the land? Because we get intelligent type
And you get feelings
experiences
too.
outside. We saw shadows. Your son saw the shadows running outside, and he went chasing after the shadows, and they ran into the woods and disappeared.
I didn't know this was a thing. I'm looking at pictures of it. I didn't even know
It's
this.
really neat because you can go there in the daytime and tour it. They do tours. It's got, the sad thing was somebody went in because they don't lock the door. Somebody went in and stole a lot of their old muzzle guns and stuff like that that they had bolted down, because this is stuff that was there or that they felt belonged there, original things, and somebody went in and stole it.
And we're the only group that was actually given permission to do investigations that night.
We called, and
we called.
Dr. Jim was there years ago, and he was the one that said that there was hauntings there, and they came across where Johnny was chasing shadows into the woods. He said there's people buried there, and they found where there's some people buried there.
Yeah, it's got a terrible history out there,
and it's right on the lake. So you got the water down from you, and you've got all these buildings, log buildings, and we went by ourselves, and we were heading up. And I heard something, and she heard something. We got back in the car and went down, and we waited because you never know if you're going to come across a homeless person. And I'm more afraid of a homeless person than I am a spirit.
People at night.
And you never know. But we got there, and then when I pulled up on top, because that was when I was having hip problems, we couldn't even get out of the car. It was like there was something there. You could feel it.
Yeah, something didn't want us to come out. It was.
You could
feel
it.
We physically couldn't get out of her Jeep.
And we sat there with the windows cracked and did EVP. And EVP is with a tape recorder, and you're asking questions, and then you stop in between to get a response, and then you play it back. Okay. So we're doing an EVP session. We had the windows cracked. We didn't have them rolled down all the way. There was just something. There was noise. There was rustling around. We were there one night too that you could hear coyotes.
I think that was the night it didn't want us getting.
Yeah,
like we
there
physically
was
couldn't get out. I think something was trying to protect us because we do ask for protection, and I think that was the night we heard coyotes.
It was just the two of us, and
oh, they do protect you, and this goes with like the outdoor stuff. We were at what is that? Cemetery called Swan Pond
Cemetery, and it's supposed to be haunted.
So we were outside in the cemetery. I had my spirit box out. We actually made like communication. I don't know, what did we get? Some man came through, and
they said run.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking to him, and it came through, and it said run, and it said coyotes, and we're like, what? And from the woods,
and it kept saying
these coyotes.
Run now.
And coyotes just came out of the woods. They say coyotes won't hurt people. No, they were coming at us.
Okay,
so we took off running.
Real coyotes or ghost
No,
coyotes?
real coyote.
Okay. No, a ghost coyote
I
think I could handle, but not a real coyote. But you could hear them in the woods, and it sounded like there was quite a few of them
on the spirit box. Like we were having a happy conversation with somebody, and it just came through and said run, and it said coyotes, and they were coming down
run
at
from
us.
what? And that's when they said coyotes,
and they were coming down at the woods, coming at us. So we took off running. So stuff happened.
Kelsey
outside.
was the first one in the back seat. She got into a car locked. Really, it was she just got it unlocked. But Kelsey was in the far back. She was in the driver's seat turning the car on, and I'm behind Devin because she can't run. We're going down a hill, and she hit pavement.
She tripped and went face first into the street. So these coyotes are coming at the car. We're running out trying to grab Devin because I think she had a concussion.
She said, I think I cracked my skull, and she's bleeding where her glasses cut her head.
Oh, God.
I said, Devin, can you get up? You got to get up. They're right here. You got to get
the coyotes were at us.
So I couldn't get in the van until she got in, and then we had to hold compression on her head, and she drove
keeping her awake
70 miles an hour to the hospital because Devin said, I heard my skull crack.
Yeah, I mean, she hit it hard. I think she had a concussion from that. So something saved us that night.
Yeah.
And it was an outdoor.
So in dealing with like real people, do you carry any protection or anything?
Some of us in our group does.
Or is that seen as a no-no because
no.
The spiritual world doesn't like that you're rolling in there with?
No, depending on where you go, like Old South Pittsburgh, any of the places we go to, we no, you don't. If you're doing outside cemeteries, anything outside, because you do have to sign a waiver. You have to sign a waiver that you're not going to sue if you're possessed. You can't go in and cross any spirits over because this is their business.
You can't sue if you get possessed.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that you cannot do. But when you're inside, if it's a place that people come to all the time, you really don't need protection. But when you're out in the cemeteries, anything outside, we did a residential, that first residential we did, and one of the people that was with us was packing.
Yeah.
And it was really creepy because we see these 3 guys.
Oh, one came at me with a machete.
He had a machete.
Not trying to hurt us, but I'm like, this is how we greet our client. And he's holding a machete.
Holding a machete.
I was like, are we at the right place? He's like, oh, I got to chop down weeds for you to get to the house. I was like, well, don't come at me with a machete. Yeah. But if you mean
I will say, so when my uncles and dad all served during the Vietnam era and all that, and 2 of my uncles served in some pretty hairy shit. And they stayed up in Jellicoe, and the story I was told, I got told a different story at like 3 different points in my life. When I was younger, it was like, oh, your Uncle Tom. So I have an Uncle Tom, and his name is Tom Collins, which is hilarious on both instances. But he said, oh, it was him. He was camping up in Jellicoe, and all of a sudden these 2 dudes come out of the woods and sat there, and he gave them hot dogs or something, but it was just very uncomfortable. And when they left, he packed up his shit and left. So that's a story I heard growing up. And then I hit a certain point when I was in like high school, my other uncle said, oh no, there were 3 or 4 of us there. Those 2 guys came out of the woods, and one of them had a shotgun. And we were just out of the service, and we beat the shit out of them and grabbed our shit and left because they were threatening us. And I was like, oh,
so
okay.
One story,
but it was literally like right before the film Deliverance, even the book came out. Like it was actually
with Deliverance, okay,
like late. It was like late 60s, early 70s, or I guess it would have been like 72 or 73 when they got out of the service. That actually happened to them, and they were like, "Yeah, we were we were afraid for a minute because we didn't know how many other people were going to come."
Yeah, they could have got ambushed.
I had went with another group. We went to the Wilden Manor, and that was in central Kentucky. And the building was 23,000 square feet. And it looked like homeless people took up residence there. So that was always leery. And none of us were packing. It's just 3 girls. We didn't have nothing. And we go in, and it's just piled up with stuff. In the garages, they've got antique cars, tile ceilings, really cool. And the guy takes us for a tour, and then he leaves us. But all the padlocks were outside. Anybody with a bolt cutter could come in. Huh. But when you go around and you're looking, you've got corners where you've got, like, you know somebody set up residence there. Right. And their food was piled up. Their cans and stuff were piled up right there. Very nasty place. But we went ahead and stayed. But like every 2 hours, there would be something to happen. And it was like we needed to go back downstairs, and we heard a gunshot in the back. And we go back downstairs, but each time something happened, there was noises. So we go back downstairs. It's like anybody in there was warning us that something was going on. The second time after the gunshot, nobody called the police. The police weren't there. We were looking out the window, but nobody could see us. But this car sped off. Then 2 hours later, there was some people outside, and there was noises again. We went downstairs because the padlocks are outside.
Yeah.
So we go back downstairs. There's a car parked behind Chris's car. There's 2 guys, and then there's 2 girls, and they're walking up and down that little street where we're at, and it's dark, and there's houses further up. Is it a drug deal? We don't know. But every time something happened outside, we heard noises in the building, and we had to go downstairs. So I don't know if the house was warning us, the building, or what it was. And one of the rooms, the K2 meter kept pinging, is going all the way to red. And then something would happen. We'd have to get up and go downstairs. He showed us the other part of the building, and we like to never found that part again. We were everywhere in that building. Finally, we found where half the building was, and on the top of the door had number 6 on it, the letter. And I couldn't even get the door open. I'm pulling and pulling and pulling. The door wouldn't open. So whatever was there did not want us in on that side.
Huh.
So we finally, sometime early morning, we went to sleep. And that was where we slept, and we're kind of, is there really somebody in here? But we also know there were spirits because the equipment was going off. You heard footsteps, you heard this and that, and we would go as the 3 of us to investigate. And it was only because I felt really leery, only because the padlocks were outside, and with a bolt cutter, you could be in there in a moment.
My friend and I, we went into Standard Knitting Mill like 15 years ago to go in there and take photos, and we made it barely inside before we heard so many homeless people and stuff to where I was like, nah, let's go. Because I don't want to turn a corner and get somebody try to attack me. I was like, because I'll end them.
You don't know. Yeah. I mean, you just absolutely don't know. And but there was nobody in there. All the doors we went around, and all the doors were still padlocked.
I think we're more afraid of the living
than
the dead.
Yeah.
At any of
because
these
the
places.
living's going to hurt you quicker than the dead will.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear your thought. Do you ever bring home souvenirs from a trip, or do you think they're
possessed or attachment?
Attachment.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking
have
for.
brought home attachments.
I don't, because I don't want to.
Oh, I meant not bring it home. Because
no, I don't bring. She will.
An
she
object.
Will.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't bring
like a souvenir. I think of from a building. I don't, and I didn't think back in the day when I was antiquing to bring a K2 meter. Look how many things that I could have got that had attachments to it.
Yeah, I'm not bringing objects home just because of attachments. I've had attachments, and if you bring souvenirs home, either you might piss them off for taking it, or you just brought in a whole new problem.
Yeah, and I got grandkids that come to the house, and I've got dogs, and I don't need my dogs barking at night, so no.
The one attachment I brought home scared my daughter, so we don't play with that anymore.
No.
We brought home some little boy, some ghost boy. She kept saying she saw a boy in her room because she was mad. She'd come out and say, this boy won't let her play with her toys. I was like, Riley, what boy are we talking about? She's like, he looks hurt, but he's in my closet and he won't let me play. She's only like 3 at this point. So I was like, Riley, you have to go in there. You tell that boy, leave. You have to go. This is my house. So she was scared. I walked in there, held her hand, and then she said it, and she's like, he's gone. And she went back to playing. So I can't remember which place I had just been to when this happened.
I know.
I need to think back.
Her son, he's a little ghost hunter.
Oh, yeah. He's only 5. We'll take him to cemeteries.
Daytime.
Daytime.
Nothing night.
Nothing night. Nothing scary. Very PG for 5-year-old. I guess PG as in spirit hunting.
Yeah.
As in nothing crazy. And he made contact with somebody on the spirit box. They're walking through the cemetery. And he's 5. He's like, is there any ghosts here? I want to talk to a ghost. This old man comes through and he says, hello. And Cody's like, are you a ghost? And he goes, boo. It sounded like an old man coming through said that. And then Cody went, oh, you're a ghost? And then it started laughing. And it was the cutest thing. And Cody wanted to go back.
Oh my
now
God.
he's got the bug.
But it's always during the daytime, and there's people in cemeteries all the time during the day. So no,
we're not taking them in the dead of night.
no, that would be a bad mama.
One of the things I want to do is go to Gettysburg, and there's
that's where we're going one day. Yeah,
are amazing. We just went to a battlefield.
We did, and then somebody vandalized the same day we were there. One of the statues,
the oldest,
defaced it.
What is it? The oldest Civil War monument.
Yeah,
and they
were
set
there
it on fire.
Yeah, they tried to burn it. Perryville Battlefield again. She couldn't go. She had something going on. And she's going to have to go back when we go to this one. But it was everybody in the world is ghost hunting that night. And everybody takes turns going live for 1 hour. It's the international ghost hunt.
Okay.
So we did that October 25th or something like that. But I'll let you hear that before we leave tonight. A gunshot. Chris and Stacy were locking up. We were the last 3 girls to leave that night. Everybody else is gone that was with us ghost hunting. Everybody's gone. It's just the 3 of us. So we're going all around different places. We didn't have to close down till whatever time we wanted to. And we decided, okay, we've got several hours. We're going to go ahead and go home. So we're locking up. They are. I'm in the car. And they could hear something rustling around and they could hear noises. They got in the car in a hurry and they said they could hear something. You're kind of more worried about coyotes. Mm-hmm. So they're getting in the car. I said, well, can I roll the window down and do a quick EVP session? They said yes, which is my tape recorder. And I ask a few questions and I'm quiet. And at the end, we heard a gunshot. Chris and Stacy, I can't hear it, but they heard somebody say, get down, and then somebody gasping their last breath of air, and then another person said, dead. And I've got that on my tape recorder. I'm going to send that to you, too. Okay. And if you've got a computer, if you've got some kind of gadget to take out and just listen to that, that's what they heard. I do hear the gunshot. I do hear some things, but I couldn't hear all of it. But I got several things outside that gate in the car. And then I said, if you can understand me, my window's down, it's really cold. I said, if you can understand me, knock really loud. And it knocked behind Stacy in the back seat on the side of her car, her door, and it scared her. She said, no more. No more. It didn't scare her. It just startled her because you really don't expect somebody to respond to your question. And I got several things that night outside as we were leaving, not while we were in there, but outside. And it's just like the museum, Lynchburg Museum, the haunted jail, in the women's cell downstairs. I'm sitting outside the jail and I asked, what is your name? And she gave me her name. That was totally awesome that I got a name. So when we go back, I'm going to bring something for her and acknowledge that I know she's there. And there's more names to be picked out, that there's more people in there. That Ronnie has gotten several names. And I want to go back. I want to learn. I want people to know me, and I want to know their name because they are people.
Right.
And I think for me, the saddest thing is you're in a severe car accident. You don't even know you wrecked and you died. And people are asking you to help. In return, we've signed an agreement. We can't help them.
Yeah, we're not allowed to cross people over.
We're not allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
These places is bad for business.
But if you do a residential, then you can. But look how many people don't realize they've died and they're still here thinking they're alive. and then people are afraid to cross over because they don't know, what the light is going to take them to. And that's sad. That for me, I think for me is sad when they're asking you help and you got help on your tape recorder, and you can't, you're in a business and that's their business is to allow you to come in. And they use that to keep the building going. And you can't do anything. I mean, that's, So
are you hoping to investigate going to Gettysburg or just going straight for the history?
No, and I'm not even a Civil War person. I just feel like it's such a huge thing for our country that I feel like I need to go. And my buddy is actually trying to talk me into, he was like, if you go in the wintertime when it's snowing. It is like another level of
what happens.
He went to college up there and he would go on the regular, and he was like, you can feel it isn't even from that level. He was just like, you can feel the weight of what this meant,
just feel the energy. And
we gotta go.
So he is a guy, he and his ex-wife, we went to Memphis, and there was a place I wanted to go to in Memphis called Ernestine and Hazel's. Have you ever heard of Ernestine and Hazel's? Yes. Oh, you're excited.
Yeah, people on Facebook have posted, but see, Memphis is like 8 hours from us, and that would be the furthest. Illinois or the Axe Murder House is going to be our furthest drive. It's going to be 13 hours from my house.
We go to Ernestine and Hazel's, and it's like 9 o'clock at night, and it's a bar, but it used to be a brothel, and I heard about it because there are funny stories about when Memphis was a lot rougher. There's a blues guitarist named Albert King that there's a bartender who told the story about. He used to come in there in overalls and nothing on under the overalls. Nice. But it turns out he had like a 22 or a 357 or something, because some people tried to come in and rob the older woman who owned it, and he just reached down there and pulled in his gun and started shooting at him. So I was like, I want to go to Ernestine Hazel's because it has all this history in Memphis and music and all that. So we go in, and I look around, and I was like, this is interesting. And we go, and there you can go upstairs. So it is a very shotgunny bar. Like, it's very long. It's pretty wide, but we order a beer, and we go upstairs. And we go up the stairs, and immediately you can feel like it's just something's a little off.
Yeah, and you don't have to have powers for that. No. That's just...
But what was really weird is there was like a back room, and we could hear somebody editing video, and it sounded like somebody was being murdered, and he was editing the video. What? We could see the light of the screen. I don't know what the dude was doing, editing a movie, whatever it was. That was creeping us out. Then we walked all the way back up to the front, and we walked into the front room, and there's a little bar there, and there was a guy there. And a real guy there. Yeah. And it was this old man, and I turned the corner and saw him, and I almost went, mother, like, it scared the shit out. Because he was like, how you doing tonight, young blood? And I was like, oh my God. Nobody prepared me that there was this old man sitting up here. Like, and then I went back to the bathroom, and my buddy went back to the bathroom, and the light in the bathroom was a red light. Like, and it was just like, it was one of those things where my buddy and I looked at one another. And I was like, he's like, I think we should go. I was like, I think we should go. And his wife was like, we're getting the hell out of here. There was bad stuff going on. And I looked at, as we left, I walked out there and I said, imagine having to close that place every night at 3 a.m. And he looked at me and said, hell no. No,
that's the best time.
Yeah, 3 a.m. But I would have to have somebody with me. I don't want to do something like that by myself. It would be nice to have somebody with you to close up, but to be by yourself, that would be kind of eerie.
I am going. So for those listening at home, you'll figure out when we're recording because I'm going to the UT game tonight. So I'm telling my buddy who's picking me up, maybe give me till about 8:10 or 8:15 after, and we'll.
What time does it start?
It starts at 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay, because I didn't ask you when you told me you were going, so I didn't know.
So, how do you choose the places you go? Like, do you just search online and find,
We all take turns. We all do searches.
Have you ever found one that was like a bust? Like you went and you're like, oh, good Lord.
Oh, there's
so many.
A lot of those.
We could tell you two right off where... It was a lot of, you got to go. You got to go.
A lot of
The
hype.
paranormal. I mean, this is the gates to hell and all of that. And then we go, and the only thing that we got was her hair being pulled. That was Bobby Mackey's.
Okay.
Well, we're not saying it's a bad place.
No,
sometimes
no.
you get paranormal. Sometimes
It's just a hit or miss.
Yeah,
that was
it's
a hit or miss. That night was a miss. We are going back. But now you can go in Bobby Mackey's and read where people have gone in. And they came out of there early because it was that bad.
Oh.
But for us, we are going back, and we know it's haunted. But ours was minor things that we had, and
I went in expecting a lot of activity.
you get your hypes up from what you read. And then Waverly was another one.
A lot of people say there's stuff going on. We debunked a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
we
a
did.
really awesome place because it was the TB hospital. Like, thousands and thousands of people died there from TB. The staff knew that they were going to die when they went there to help the patients. So there's a lot of history there. But we didn't get a whole lot like the TV shows
It's
did.
still haunted.
Yeah,
but
we did get some stuff. My SLS was knocked out of my hand twice there.
Hair pulled back, yanked her back.
Yeah, something did not. I captured something on my SLS. I'm like, look at it standing right there. And it disappeared. Next thing I know, something slapped the SLS out of my hand. I caught it before my tablet hit the ground. And, I mean, it snapped the handle right off. It hit
broke it.
so hard.
And that was down at
my
the
head back.
body chute, and then we were in the room with the caskets. Now that was creepy.
Something was
because
scratching in the caskets. I have a fear of closed coffins. It's just something weird. I just don't like coffins. I mean, they're cool, but I don't want to be alone in the dark with a coffin. But I was saying, I hope nothing's in that coffin. Well, you get scratching. There's scratching under it. I point the SLS and there's something standing on the coffin. But I mean, other than that, we didn't get too much at Waverly.
Several of them went down the body chute, and they said when you go down like 250 steps, when you go halfway, you're going into a different zip code. And when you got down to the bottom, the noises that we heard, we also heard walking. Her and I heard walking while we were there, but the wind was blowing the plastic, so a lot of that was debunked.
Yeah, it was a tarp blowing, and people.
Oh,
right.
There was claims that there was people at the bottom of this tunnel walking and banging, and no, it was a tarp blowing the whole time.
But there was walking. We were sitting further back, and she bumped into something. Thought for sure something got her, but it was that was funny. But we were sitting there, and you could hear walking coming down, and we had nowhere to go because the only place we could have gone was down this 250 steps to nowhere, to a door that you can't get out of. But there was walking. We heard the walking. In one of the rooms where you pulled the body in and out, where they examined them or whatever.
Or no, they did.
Yeah, it was something, but that's when you got your SLS the second time. That was when it got broken.
Hit my SLS, jerked my head back, and it was all after when I said, I see you. I can see you standing there. But any other places?
She got scratched.
Yeah, I did get scratched there pretty good.
That was second floor.
Is there any other places we've been that's been kind of a buzz? Because everywhere we've been has at least
but
something.
I think it's because we're too nice or something, and they're not afraid of us. But those were two but we're still going back, and it is definitely haunted.
Okay.
But it's just like anywhere, it may not be haunted that night. You may not get anything. They may look at you and think, who's afraid of her?
Brushy was kind of a buzz.
Brushy, yeah. Cold spots. I did walk into some really cold spots where something was right on top of me. Shadow people outside the kitchen, but that was it.
It wasn't living up to the hype of the television
So I will
shows.
say, from friends who have taken classes and stuff there, apparently under Nayland, all the tunnels and all the...
Now that is haunted. I've heard that was haunted.
My friend is a speech language pathologist, and she was like, and they don't help because they don't change the light bulbs and shit. So you'll just be walking down the hallway and it'll just be flickering and stuff. And she was like, there's an old story about Dr. Bass got a body on like a Friday afternoon, and he just opened a door through the body in that room, And he was like, I'll just get it when I come back on Monday. Nobody will bother in here. Turns out it was the custodian's room. And the custodian came in Saturday morning and quit because he opened the door and there was a body right there.
Are they not going to restore that? That was on the news either the first of this year or the end of last year about the old part. And I almost thought that they were going to go in and restore it.
They're doing all the work on top. I don't know. Maybe they are.
They said something on the news about it.
And here, we'll end on this. What is your bucket list? I know you've listed a bunch, but what is your bucket list place? What is one place that you're like, if I can get there, that's like anywhere? It could be in Russia. It could be anywhere.
I want to go to New Orleans myself. I want to go to the old cemeteries and the buildings.
There's a lot of castles out in
Scotland, right?
Yeah, the Scotland, Ireland that I see on TV, and there's so much history. And there's a lot of evidence I see on these paranormal shows. I mean, whether it lives up to the hype, that is on my bucket list. I'd love to go out there and investigate one of those old castles.
Chernobyl.
Oh, I wanted to go there as a kid. That was like one of my places I wanted to go just to go to Chernobyl.
Yeah.
I think now you can go in and visit.
And then my second would be Gettysburg. I want to go to Gettysburg.
Okay.
A lot of places out west, too.
Yeah. Arizona, there's a lot. There's a lot of haunted places in Seattle that I could go back to.
I feel like Portland, too.
Yeah, Portland, Oregon is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, would have. But yeah, I think about all those towns, the ones you would normally think of, like Savannah or New Orleans. Charleston or any of those, yeah. Okay.
But our town, Harriman, just about a lot of the old houses there have been refurbished and people live in them. They're haunted, but it's not anything it's nothing evil. And they really don't want nobody coming in and investigating. And on Roan Street, we're not that big, but on Roan Street, one of the guys that does tattoos, his apartment upstairs on Roan Street is haunted. And he's got an understanding with the man that's haunting it. And he says, you don't mess with me and I won't mess with you. And he won't let nobody come up and investigate.
Is there a way to rid the spirits?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell them to go away. I mean,
you can cross them over. Yeah.
Okay.
You can go into a place and say, nothing touched me. Nothing messes with me. And they listen. For the most part,
if you're nice, I mean, if you go in being a jerk,
you're gonna find the assholes of the afterlife.
Yeah, you're gonna find that person come back at you.
That's your merch, assholes of the afterlife.
Yeah, in the afterlife.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all for being on.
Thank you for having us.
You just have to go with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
just to see what we got to see or experience.
We'll ease you into it. Throw you in a dark room and leave.